go.
What the fuck was that? Okay.
I forgot we were on streaming this, so I'm gonna record it, and I forgot to hit record. So yeah, that would have been fun. That would have been fun.
That's really cool. I'm really happy for us.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to a Spoilercast for Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1. I am one of your hosts, Harv. With me, I have Fee. How you doing, Fee?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you because we have some contradicting opinions on this, and it is going to be...
She's gonna try to paint me as like, I hate the show. I don't hate the show, guys.
I can't wait to expose Harv for actually his true feelings, which he actually despises this show.
I despise every character on this show.
Wow. Okay, clip that. Just take that to the bank because that's obviously Harv's true feelings about Stranger Things.
No, we've been talking about doing something for Stranger Things. We thought about doing it everything from like the first season and then talking about the first season and going through there. But with timing and all that kind of stuff, I had totally forgotten that the season came out this weekend. I had no idea the season came out because another show started. Yeah, Obi-Wan started a couple of days before it, and I was like, okay, I'm all into Obi-Wan. And then all of a sudden, somebody on Twitter is like, "Stranger Things is starting this week. Is out tonight." I was like, "Wait, what? Oh shit! I totally forgot about it."
Yeah.
But yeah. So volume 1 is done. We've watched all of volume 1, episodes 1 through 7 that they've released. I still don't like this format. They could have just put it out 8. I don't. It's just 2 episodes, guys. It's 2 episodes. You kind of could have just released the 2 episodes.
But it's almost like 4 hours long. They have to like really take
What?
it home. Mind you, I'm kind of surprised that it's not coming out on July the 4th because they had the entire premise for season 3, which was July the 4th. But instead, it's coming out on Canada Day on the 1st.
Yeah, which is also I didn't think they would do it on Canada Day. Again, I find it. I like the. I think Ozark did it as well, but they split the season in half.
Yeah.
So it was like the first like 5 episodes and then the last 5 episodes or whatever it was, and they did it that way. Which was, I think they also did that like 4 months. I think it was like a 4-month break or something.
Yeah, and they've done that with Attack on Titan because they had the season 4. Well, shocker, it's actually season 4 as well. Season 4 part 1 and then season 4 part 2, and now they're having a season 4 part 3 with I think a movie is what they've discussed. But they've cut that. It makes sense, and I'm not going to go into that detail because this is not in an AOT spoiler cast. This is all about Stranger Things. But yeah, it seems to be more of a trend where TV shows are splitting seasons up into parts. But this one seemed. I do agree. I think it is very odd that they're doing it rather than. It's so weird to have 7 episodes and then 2.
Yeah, right.
It's a lot of hours. They have a lot of like content that they're going to be
it's already shot time. Though it's already shot, ready to go. It's in the can. Why not just release the entire thing?
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you with that because that seems, let me see, Stranger Things season 4 for length, and then we'll go so about 13 hours total, and then the last one is so we've seen about 9-ish hours. And now it's going to be about 4 hours for season, like the second part of the season, which is going to be absolutely absurd. Because let me just see here. Oh my goodness. All the pop-ups up here. Yeah, so it's going to be 1 hour and 25 minutes for episode 8, and then in 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is it is a movie. That's the length of a movie.
It's essentially a movie,
for episode 9, which. Yeah,
episode 8 and 9 are pretty much the Schneider cut at this point. Episode 8 and 9.
It's the end game. You know what I mean? But it's not the end game because end game is season 5.
Yeah, there's still one more season after this, which is I think the final season. So yeah,
that is the talks that it's the final season. So
all right, so let's again, guys. This is a spoiler cast, so we're gonna talk about everything about Stranger Things, season 4, volume 1. There are no spoilers or off limits. We're going to talk about everything that we can about this season. So first and foremost is we start the season with a couple of different storylines, right? There's technically
just a couple.
Just a couple. We have the Hawkins storyline, which has I don't know if I'm gonna get all these right. Nancy, Steve, Dustin, Robin,
Mm-hmm.
Max,
Mm-hmm.
and Sinclair. Or is Luke, right?
Lucas.
Lucas. I keep on Sinclair because I think it's what they keep calling him in there.
I
So,
mean, that's fair because that's as I've learned recently, a pretty standard thing in sports to call people by their last names,
yes,
and
yeah.
so everyone kept on calling him Sinclair, with his basketball team, which we will definitely be talking about at that fucking basketball team because they are.
That other
Woo!
one is also yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. We have that storyline, and then we have the storyline uh of 11, which kind of branches off of the California storyline, which is 11 Will. I forgot the her boyfriend's name.
Jonathan.
Is it no Jonathan, Argyle. What's the other one's name?
You mean Mike?
Mike.
Her
Mike is the
boyfriend?
yeah.
Okay.
Mike is the other
Yeah,
one.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike. Yeah. And then we have, the newest addition, who is
Oh,
Argyle,
who is
who is
Argyle? Yeah.
really loves pineapple on his pizza.
I mean, who doesn't like pineapple on their pizza, right?
It's true. Whoever
Yeah.
doesn't like pineapple on their pizza, don't come at us. But you can comment below and say how much you love pineapple on pizza.
Exactly. And then we have the third storyline, which is the
Your
Hopper.
favorite.
Yeah,
Your
which is my
favorite
favorite.
storyline.
My favorite one. We have Hopper, Joyce, and Murray. Which
And
hmm?
and Yuri.
And Yuri apparently. Yuri is just part of the ride. He's just there for the ride, you know.
He's there for some sort of ride, but it's not.
All right, so where do you want to start first? Because I feel like the best way to probably break this down, it might
Yeah.
be is going by story, right? So we could talk about
Mm.
11 will be her own story. We'll have her as her
Oh,
own
for
story.
sure.
California will be their own
Mhm.
story. The Russian story, and then the Hawkins story. Where do you want to start first?
I love this choose your own adventure
Yeah,
kind of scenario that you're giving me right now. So I feel like we really need to hold off the 11 story with the Hawkins story. I feel like those need to be the two separate like last sections that we
very
discuss.
interconnected.
They're very interconnected, which, by the way, if you're still listening to this and you have not watched the series and you're like, man, you guys are spoiling things for me, why didn't you stop when we told you not to continue listening earlier? By all means, I appreciate it. We love you to death, but please make sure to stop listening at this point. So I'd probably say, you know what? We should probably start with the California storyline because then it branches out to the Russian one.
Sure, it branches. Okay.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does branch out from it
I
because
guess
that's
yeah, because
when
Joyce and Murray go to yeah. So this one
yeah.
starts off with them in California. We have Argyle, we got Jonathan, we got Mike, and Will,
11.
right? And
Yeah,
11, and 11,
and 11, who's now Jane.
and Jane. Yeah, who is Jane? So see, like, it was very exciting for me to see these characters again.
Mhm.
I really liked how we just like they're trying to just kind of figure out their life after Hopper. It's like life after Hopper. What does Jane
Yeah.
do and that kind of type thing. And I really enjoyed their like seeing what like a slice of life that they have there in
Yeah,
that area.
I agree. And I really appreciated the way that they even opened the season, which was 11 writing a letter to Mike. And so she was saying, like, oh, everything is going great. I'm making friends. Everything is fantastic. Living in California has been going really well. Like, I know that my first few letters, I didn't seem like I was really fitting in, but I'm really finding my strive. And then you get this douse of reality, which honestly, I feel like all of us in a way felt like this when we were kids, or especially if you had the experience of moving away and you're trying to convince your friends, like, oh, this is great, but it's not actually super great. And
I had a
so,
microcosm of that because I went to a high school that none of my friends went to at all.
yeah.
So like my first year, my grade 8, I was like, yeah, this school is amazing. It's great. And then all in my head, I'm just like, I wish I was in that other school. I wish I was somewhere else. I wish I was over there right now.
Yeah, so I think it was a really good representation and kind of made you like really like feel that almost like that it hurt like it definitely hurt in a way, especially with myself, I moved when I was 13, and so I had that understanding feeling of like, oh man, like, because at first I'm like, oh, this is great, maybe this is a new season. Nope, that is too real and way too real kind of moment. So being actually seeing her and then realizing like, no, she hasn't adjusted, and no, she isn't one of the popular girls, or at least making friends. The people that she's saying are her friends are actually the people who bully her the most.
Yeah.
Which it hurt even further. And then the entirety of the her bringing in her diorama of oh my god, of Hopper's home and talking about how he's her hero and stuff like that, and just having the entirety of the class except for Will just picking on her and making fun of her. I'm just like, this hurts. Like, this is very difficult to watch for sure. But yeah, no, I
She got her
definitely agree.
revenge, though. She got her revenge.
She did, and you know what? That girl deserved it. I don't even care. Like that girl, like she's lucky it wasn't an actual ice skate, as they said in the vehicle
Yeah.
afterwards. That it was just like
It's
that
a
girl.
plastic. No, soft plastic.
Yeah, at least it wasn't a ice skate. It would have been a blade. He would have just taken off her nose, and they're like, "Whoa."
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that, and then bringing in Will was kind of a cool dynamic as well, and just kind of like seeing the strain on their relationship from Will and Jake, because like when you have somebody that is, as they say, 2,000 miles apart, which is the same thing with Nancy and Jonathan, and then like in nowadays it's easier to like keep contact because we have phones, we have cell phones, you can FaceTime and all that kind of stuff, right? But for them, they can't have like they can call each other, but they can't see each other, right? They have to
Yeah.
like wait until like somebody has, like at this point, it's spring break or something to go visit each other. So like
Yeah.
seeing the strain and seeing them kind of like um having that discussion like before she leaves, or at one point where they were having the discussion in her room about like like how she says like she doesn't, let's say, love you anymore and all that kind of stuff, which has always been like an issue for like, I guess, like I've seen this a lot in shows where like the guy never says it, but he just like, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Also, he's like a high school student.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really understand what he's doing, and like you can definitely tell that he regrets it during the rest of the season, where he's just like, I should have said more to her, and then he completely regrets having that argument in her bedroom, because he just feels like, what happens if I done something different? What happened? Like, and that's also where Will comes in and kind of like gives him that pep talk that's just like, you shouldn't feel bad about it. Like, what we should be doing is actually doing something rather than just moping around in this bedroom. Even though he doesn't say it in that particular context, he's really like pushing Mike to be like, okay, this is not you. Like, yes, you made a mistake, but we need to do something about what's happening around us. And also, I feel so bad for Will this season. Like, no one is giving this boy love, and I even pointed this out to Harv, and it's been pointed out on TikTok as well, where the timeline is, it is March 22nd when they go to the roller derby, and Mike arrives in California, and Will tries to give him that painting and trying to have a good day with his best friend, which he then becomes the perpetual third wheel. Not on top of all that, apparently it's his birthday, because someone actually took the actual timeline where they realized like it's March 22nd, which is Will's birthday, and when they're recording the roller rink, you can see that it's March 22nd. So this entire time, this entire day where Will's getting just constantly ignored by everybody and put in the back seat, not even by his friends, but his own mother and brother. This is March
Yeah,
22nd.
because at dinner nobody says anything.
No one says anything. No one says anything in the morning. No one says anything in the car. No one says anything when they're like hanging out or when they're going anywhere. No one says shit. Mike doesn't come off the plane. It's just like, happy birthday, bro. It's just like, it's 11. Woo!
It is it's gonna be a kind of like a thing with me where like I feel like some characters have just been kind of put on the back a little bit, and like it makes sense when you have so many characters. Like the show has a bunch of characters, and then you introduce more characters. One thing that was poignant to me, what you said when we started watching it, is like the Game of Thrones method. As much as a lot of people hate that show now, right? But Game of Thrones had this method of killing a bunch of characters and then introducing new ones, so you don't have character bloat. And I
Yeah.
feel like Stranger Things is just adding more characters, but not getting rid of any characters.
Even the main characters are like the actors who are playing in the show. Like Millie has specifically said she wished that this was played out like Game of Thrones, where some characters would actually die, and I'm like, that's concerning. But and I know you hate this so much. The fact that they have the poster where they have 4 different sections colliding with each other, because there's the 4 separate posters, but they actually come together into one particular storyline. So I know it's cheesy, everybody, and don't even come at me. Is there 4 different timelines coming together? And if you want, I'm gonna actually put this in the thumbnail. And
No,
this
no,
is
I'm
gonna
gonna
be
put it
like
in the
this.
video. I'm putting it in the video at this
Okay, put
point.
it in the video.
Yeah.
Put it right across my face. Why not? Just put it
Oh,
right
it's gonna
here.
be right in the middle.
Right here. Yeah, just put it right in the middle. Just make sure it's like a little bit more on my side. But like, it's it's just like that's what it's coming down to. And I know, and I know you weren't specifically fan, but I think the reason why they're doing this is because they need to build more hype towards it. And yes, I do think that someone is like, there's going to be some characters that die, because we introduced more characters, which, by the way, Eddie, phenomenal new character that they've added. Susie, we actually got to see her in person. Argyle, he's a good character, but he's a little, once again, hits a little too close to home, because when that guy is stone cold sober, he has an anxiety attack, and I'm like, man, this guy is way too relatable. Kind of need to go back on that pineapple like express moment in the vehicle. Just
Yeah,
like
when they're
give him that
burying the
vibe.
body.
Yeah, because you like go, they're like, he's just like, oh my god, it's a dead body. Why the hell am I here? We're in the middle of the desert. We're gonna get caught. We're all gonna die. There was a car, or there was a truck, and there was a gun, and everyone's like, whoa, just go to the car, just go to the van, just do your thing. And he's just like, seems like it wore off. And then when he comes back, he's writing all of their names on a pizza box. And I'm like, you may as well just put like, we were here.
This
Just
is
like
our
a
social
massive-
insurance number. This is what this is. This is.
It was so dumb. Oh my god. I was just like, Argyle, come on, my dude.
Yeah, I like the whole too many characters thing for me is like we're 7 episodes in, and when you don't show an entire storyline for 2 episodes, I feel like there's a problem there. I get that we could get like I know Game of Thrones did it too, but again, Game of Thrones kills people off and then brings people in, right? They have characters that are recurrent, like they recycle, not recycle characters, but there's a turn. There's a churn to it, right? There's no churn to this show. So like it kind of sucks what they did with Will and Mike in this season, because like I when their parts were on, I was just like, all right, when can we get back to the other stuff? When can we get back to the stuff that's happening in Hawkins? When can we go back to the stuff that's happening, I guess, in Russia, because I have my own gripes with Russia as well. But like, again, like when can we like or go back to 11? Let's go back to the 11, because the 11 stuff is probably the most interesting stuff out of all of it, honestly.
I think the 11, and if I had to like choose out of like the 4 timelines, which is California, Hawkins, Russia, and like essentially the Hawkins Lab, or 11 storyline, I would probably say the Hawkins and the 11 timeline were definitely probably the most like hard hitting. But I also feel as though the California and the Russian one are going to make more of an appearance or more of an impact during the last 2 episodes.
I hope so, because during that teaser, we didn't see anything from California.
We didn't see anything, but I think there's a reason for that. And I think that it's going to be like relatively shocking, because we didn't see, not only in the short teaser, but also in the 2-minute teaser for that for the part 2, we didn't see anything from California, which once again, that is the squad of Argyle, Mike, Will, oh my goodness, Jonathan, and maybe Susie. We don't know if Susie actually goes with them.
Yeah, because like that's where they stopped, right? When they got high inside the van. Like we didn't see anything after that, right?
Yeah, so Susie's sister must be a part of it now too, because you know for a fact Argyle probably spilled the freaking beans and explained everything while they were in the van because they were high as a kite.
Probably gave them longitude, latitude where they buried the body.
Yeah, right? Like, the one thing that he would remember is just like, we were at this particular pinpoint in Nevada and we buried we buried a body in California driving back and like went up this way, which is absolutely bonkers. But no, I think that particular area I think was needed to build for the final 2 episodes. Mind you, once again, I do agree with, not like, in a way I agree with you that they were definitely put on the back burner, and I feel as though there could have been more screen time for them, but I feel like they're doing that right now because they're going to have more screen time in episode 8 and episode 9. If I'm wrong, I cannot wait until because at this point we may as well just sit down for 8 and 9 too and have that discussion, because at this point, like, if they don't make anything crazy with those guys in it, I'm gonna be like, what the hell? Why did we have the California timeline? Because I feel like they have to have an idea as to what they're doing with them.
They're the escort mission.
They're definitely the escort mission, because what they're gonna have to do is they're probably gonna go get Elle, and then they're gonna go back to Hawkins, because that's the only thing that they could do at this point, unless they all get captured and then brutally murdered by the military, which is a whole other like. So that's a sub freaking timeline where we have a agent who's currently being baked alive by lights in a steel tomb, essentially the best way to put it, and the military is after Elle, which is essentially like, that's how the Elle and the California timeline are overlapping, which is the military subplot. And that one is just bonkers, because like, out of everything, why are you cooking this man in a what is it, a tomb, or not tomb, but like
It's like
a
a locker.
casket size. Yeah, it was like a casket size, like what is it, easy bake oven for people, and they were just cooking this man forever.
And he did spill the beans at the end of it.
He did.
So like there has to
some
be
sort
some sort of
connection.
confrontation that's going to happen
Yeah.
at the lab at least.
I feel like there's going to have to be, and at that point, is Elle going to be able to defend everybody, and how many of the doctors are going to live through that?
Yeah.
Because we have essentially the good doctor and the bad doctor, which, by the way, welcome back to the land of the living, Dr. Martin, because yeah, Dr. Brenner is back. We all thought he died in season 2. He apparently did not. He actually survived.
If you don't see a dead body, they're not dead.
Okay, there's a lot of other people in this series that have ended up being season 1, episode 1. Literally in the first 5 seconds, we saw actual doctors being shredded. Like
but we didn't see Brenner get shredded though.
We didn't see Brenner get shredded. That is correct. So Brenner comes back with a cool eye scar across his eye, and he's just like, "Ooh, everything's going great." Because Dr. Owens, which, by the way, Dr. Owens, what the bleep? Why did you do this? That is Dr. Owens, is it not? The older guy who transports Elle.
So for me, like, for the whole Dr. Owens thing, okay, we'll get to the Elle stuff, I guess, now for this. But like the Dr. Owens stuff, like I get where he's coming from because of all the shit that's happening in Hawkins. She's the only one that can win. She's the only one that can defeat it. Nobody else could defeat it.
Yeah.
Right? So like he has to try to motivate her to like to do her training and try to get her powers back. I understand why he did it, and I don't really fault him for that kind of stuff, because he even tells Brenner, he's just like, I gave you pretty much everything you needed to do this. Like, because like Brenner probably went to Owen and was just kind of like, yo, I need this lab, I need all this, and then we have to get Elle back for his own personal thing. But then Owen's probably like, well, yeah, it's gonna be good for the rest of the world if this happens, because she could save Hawkins and pretty much the entire world at that point, right? So like I don't fault Owen that much, because I get like he's like the nice scientist, he's calling her kiddo and all that kind of stuff, you know, just being all nice. But I think his heart is in the right place, where he wants to save the kids and save that town.
I mean, his heart was in the right place in season 2, and we saw how season 2 went.
God, we keep referencing back. I don't remember like half of the seasons. So
season 2, what he did was he brought Will back into the Hawkins lab and tried to remove the demon or something, like the
Yeah, like a
essence of the
parasite in him.
upside down. Yeah, the parasite. Yeah, he was infected when he was in the upside down in season 1, because at the end of season 1, the very end clip, we see Will in the washroom and he vomits up what ends up being oh my god, it ends up being Dustin's dog for a little bit, because Dustin he ends up in Dustin's house, and then he raises the worm. I forget the name of the actual worm, and this shows how well I am at remembering these things. But Will gets possessed essentially by the mind flayer, and he is attacking people and stuff like that. So he keeps on ending up doing tests on Will, trying to reduce it, but he's actually at the same time doing tests on Will. And it doesn't go very well, because people do in fact die. Rest in peace, Bob Newby, who was played by Sean Austin, who played Sam in Lord of the Rings. Like, R.I.P.
Oh
that
yeah,
character
yeah, I remember
completely,
him. Yeah.
because there was a fight in the Hawkins Lab, which was one of the final episodes of season 2, where and the hospital, because there was the hospital fight scene where they had some crazy shit that happened. Was that season 3? No, that was season 3. Oh my god, the timelines are like flailing into each other. No pun intended. But no, I agree that Dr. Owens is the better of two evils, is the
Yeah,
best way to
better
put
two
it.
evils is probably a better way of doing it. Yeah.
He's a good, like, his heart's in the right spot, and he wants to save the people, because he knows what has happened is they both fucked up. They're like, we fucked up really badly. We obviously knew what we did, and especially Dr. Brennan knew what the fuck he did
Oh, he knew.
wrong,
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
because that was recording. Like, there's a recording of what happened, so he knew the entire time. And now we, like, especially that we know, and what we'll probably do is, like, just to save these kind of cool spots and jump back into the Russian timeline. But, like, man, this was an entire, like, silly, like, I don't know. I do not like Dr. Brenner. I cannot look at his face. And that was also one of the openings for the season, was what the hell happened in the Hawkins lab.
Yeah.
Um, which is a whole
That
other
it was
fun.
it was a very it was a very cool way that they showed what happened in the lab, of Elle being in the deprivation chamber and then just kind of reliving everything. Obviously, you can't change anything that happened in the lab, right? Because like it's already happened before.
Yeah.
So like just kind of her experiencing everything again and like showing us what the timeline was and how it all kind of went down with her time there and her rivalry with 2 and stuff like that. It was really, really well done. I think that was one of the best things that they had in this entire season. L like the Millie, I forgot her entire name.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown, yeah. She killed it this season. I think she did an amazing job. And she was probably one of the best actresses of this entire season.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think her entire acting and being able to see the timelines of her and kind of the correlation back to California, which was 2 and the other my goodness, the other kids that were in the Hawkins lab with her, all picking on her, and now we kind of see that kind of correlation between what happened at the roller rink with her bully, which I'm trying to remember her name, and I will remember it in just a little bit here.
Angela?
Angela, yes, Angela. So Angela kept on picking on her, and then they kept on, like, because obviously Ella had the scene where she tried to use her abilities in the courtyard, and then everyone made fun of her because she didn't do anything, obviously, because her powers weren't there anymore. And so you're then wondering, like, wow, that was kind of like an outburst of anger. We have seen, obviously, Elle had outbursts throughout the seasons, but we didn't see anything in like up until we got to the actual roller rink where everyone was spinning around her, where we were kind of seeing, like, okay, there's a new type of anger now, because she takes the freaking not roller, but the
Roller skate.
roller skate. Why did I not think? I was gonna call it a roller shoe. What the fuck is a roller shoe? Oh yeah, the roller skate, and just smashed her in the face, and we're like, whoa, girl, like, why would you do, like, and we joked about it, but that was insane. And also, noses bleed really fast and a lot, and that was crazy. And
Yeah.
so I think that also kind of goes to like, okay, now this makes sense because the suppressed memory of her getting bullied by 2 and the other numbers, which by the way, we don't know the numbers, even with subtitles on, usually they say like which number is which, or usually they'll in like kind of give you an idea of who the person is who's talking.
Yeah.
But there was nothing in regards to that. I think it was like I don't know. I don't think they put like lab kit or something, but it wasn't actually their number. So it was just a number of kids just spinning around her and pushing her around because they were upset that they insulted or made number 2 look bad, which by
Yeah.
the way, like, kids, why the hell are you helping a bully? I guess they're scared of being bullied themselves, but they were being really harsh. And so that suppressed memory comes out. But no, I'm yeah, I am really happy that like one of her happy thoughts though, and I'm gonna bring it back, is a man who used to live in a trailer outside on the lake. Harv's favorite character and also Harv's favorite storyline,
All right.
the
Okay.
Russia
We're gonna get to
storyline.
the Russian storyline.
I'm making you come back to this because I really want to talk about Hawkins and the L conclusion
At the
together.
end. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel
100%.
like
Because
that's
I think
really
we're gonna agree. For the most part, we're gonna agree on the Hawkins stuff for sure.
this one we don't agree
This
on,
one
which
I
think is
don't.
really
Yeah.
good.
This one I can't get behind. Mainly because I don't understand why this is a storyline yet. I don't understand it. I don't understand why Joyce, of all people, has 3 kids inside of her house.
Correct.
Just says, I want to up and go to Alaska,
Yes.
where one of her kids was kidnapped to the upside down,
Yes.
and you saw her hysterical
Yes.
through that entire season.
Yes.
Why in any capacity would she ever leave those kids alone again?
I agree. That is one thing I do agree with. Out of all of that, she already knows that, like, obviously she took them out of Hawkins to California to take them away. The only thing, like, the thought process that I could think of is maybe she thinks that they're just safe in California because they're away from Hawkins. So there's nothing that's going to happen. There's nothing that's going to go wrong.
But
What
when
are they
you
going to do? It's just going to be weak. I
the
know.
traumatizing part of it would be like like if I'm going, the kids are coming with me, you know?
Also, the fact that, like, if they really thought that Elle was safe, they would have just called her Elle rather than Jane.
Yeah.
But why by the way, why name her Jane? Because that's her fucking real name.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's her real name, right? Yeah.
They should have just called her something else. Like, I know they were trying to kind of give her that association of what her real name was, and it was really cute that her name was Jane Hopper. Like, I thought that was very adorable, and I think that was really cute. The only thing I know that Hopper was probably one of the most attractive men in Hawkins that was around her age. And then now he was sent to who knows where. And then the moment that she hears that he's still alive, she feels like some sort of complex that I need to go save him
Yeah.
because he saved me. And then she's also like, because I love him, question mark, because they didn't isolate anything. Yes, there was the idea of them going on a date together before he got sent into the upside down portal into Russia, which is a very weird subplot for sure, because I know season 3 was all about the Russian it was the Russian plot of trying to find a way to open a portal between the US and Russia, but it's not actually a portal that they're looking for. They're just looking for the creatures from the upside down to use as
The weapons.
torture.
Not
As
even as weapons, I guess. Yeah.
I would say torture because
Yeah.
that's what that Demi Gorgon was used for, which was just purely imprisonment
Sport.
and torture and
Yeah.
sport. It was just, I mean, you need to find something, I guess, to do in the winter.
In the winter.
I guess just like cuddle up with a blanket, hides behind some crazy ass metal plexiglass stuff, and just watch people get ripped and torn to shreds, because there's nothing that's stopping that Demi Gorgon from hopping up and getting all those guards that were just hanging out and watching. Like, what the hell? The logic is not there. But then again, they haven't had to deal with it. And so that's why they make sure that they have a very large amount of prisoners when they go feed the little Demi Gorgon baby, which
Okay,
is not really baby.
we're going a little bit further. We're going a little bit further.
We are, for sure.
So taking it back, so yeah, that's a big problem. Murray coming back this season, having a more of a role, I love that. I think he's a great actor, and I feel like he's there for he's mostly there for like comic relief, but I think it's good comic relief, not like comic relief where like it's just kind of cringy and shitty, but like I think he does a good job as comic relief, and his dynamic between Joyce is really, really, really well done. I don't know why that first prison is even in the entire show. We could have just had the second prison and had Anton, the guy that like helps him out and stuff, just have him a guard at the second prison. We don't need that first prison. There's no reason for it to have that first prison, because he gets caught in the end again anyways. I just don't understand why that's there. Is it because we need the GIF sponsorship? Maybe. I don't know.
It's not used once. It's not used twice. It's motherfucking used 3 times in this.
Yeah.
Like, they paid GIF. What kind of sponsorship did you give Stranger Things? I know they needed that like millions of dollar like essentially their budget for each episode.
30 million per episode.
30 minute, which by the way, sometimes like it looked really fantastic, but like some of the CGI was really used in other episodes more than others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that go on there. But no, I'm a very big fan. I was very happy that they introduced Murray. They brought Murray back into a main timeline or storyline rather than just a side character, because they've been kicking around his character since season 2. And they barely had him in season 2, barely had them in, like, he was a little bit more prevalent in season 3, because we had, oh gosh,
the Russian dude, right?
The Russian
scientist.
Yes, which, Alec, Yuchkov or something, or Dr. Alex. No, that's the character. That's the actual actor's name. It's Dr. Alexei. Dr. Alexei was the character's name, and I thought that having him as an actual character in this made a lot of sense, because it made sense to have kind of like a comedy storyline, because there's a lot of darker things this season than any before. And I feel like, do I think they should have had an entire story plot? No, but they needed to find some comedy. And
I mean, there's enough comedy going around with like Dustin and Steve, right?
Well, that's only one plot. There wasn't much joking going around. Like, yes, there was the stoner plot with Argyle.
Anytime Dustin and Steve talk, it's a joke.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. But like Murray and Yuri, that fucking match made in hell, I guess. Because Yuri was quite the character. He is the smuggler who was supposed to take the 40,000 that Joyce has taken out of Elle's, like, essentially her tuition fund that Hopper.
We're just gonna gloss over that.
Which, by the way, just $40,000 for Elle. Cool beans. Like, rest in peace.
Just gone.
That money, just taking it to the Alaska. Which, by the way, once again, the thought process of getting rid of all that money to take to some weird smuggler in like Alaska, to then take to a guard, to then try to somewhat get Hopper out. I do agree. It wasn't a solid plan. There's probably a better plan than what they were doing, but sure. So they take the money to Yuri, who is a very entertaining character, and has a lot of jokes up his sleeve, and a lot of other things up his sleeve. Which one thing is essentially a triple backstab.
Yeah, like he backstabs Anton. And then he it's like pretty much him backstabbing the Russian government because he's smuggling all these things, and then backstabbing Anton because the Russian government says, "Oh, we'll pay you even more." And then it's pretty much a double backstab at this point. And then he also backstabs obviously Joyce and
Murray.
yeah.
He drugs them.
Yeah, he drugs them. Yeah, yeah. But see, like this is where I mean, like, while that's happening, we have Hopper that's in this prison having this conversation with Anton. But this first prison has no. If you switch their prison from the first one to the second one, the storyline doesn't change. It's exactly the same storyline.
100%.
Just have Anton the guard of the second prison, and you wouldn't have to worry about the first prison.
So are you referring to the second prison being the
Demi Gorgon one?
Okay, so it's not the railroad.
Not the railroad one, no.
So I agree. I think that in like when it comes to that, they didn't need like it could have made sense to like have it at first for like just a quick minute to be like, okay, we are wondering what the fuck you are. We've wasted our time. We're just going to send you rather than spending a large portion in the jail cell and then having them tortured in the gas mask, which they called the elephant.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, okay, we're just going to send you off to the railroad. And it's just like, okay, it would have been kind of interesting to have started off with him in the railroad. Maybe like kind of they bring the camera over top of like the snowy like group in hell, and then you see a bunch of men sweating it out trying to like build this railroad, and then you see Hopper. Like that would have been a cool introduction rather than let's gas mask him and then all this like I agree. I think the prison to the railroad to the prison again, they may as well just taken him to the crazy prison at the first.
Yeah,
like
from the very get-go.
It's either they take him to the crazy like they take them to the like first railroad and then he backstabs, which does make sense and a reason like a good explanation as to why they take him to the other, or maybe even some flashbacks. Maybe like they bring him to the railroad first and then we see some of the flashbacks of okay, he was taken, he was then brought to the railroad because they freaking did the and 12 hours later nonsense which Guys, I hate those timelines. I hate when an episode starts off with crazy shit happens and then it's just like 12 hours before.
Earlier,
it's just like, stop. Do not. Okay, that's a whole other discussion I could have. But no, I agree. But I think that this really sets up the other storyline, which we only got to see like 30 seconds. You know what? I'm going to say about 15 seconds of it in the spoiler trailer for season 4 part 2, which is the Demi Gorgon kind of like almost
lab.
Guardians of the lab. Essentially, it reminds me of that guy from Guardians of the Galaxy that has the big collection.
Yeah, the collector. Yeah,
the collector. Okay, I'm not even gonna comment on the fact that name is okay. Anyway, no, it just seemed really like okay, this part seems fucking cool. I want to know who this fucking crazy person is who is collecting demigorgons as if they're Pokemon. And then what the hell is like this ghost? Like this, it looked like dust. Like it was a particle creature. Like I want to know what's going on there. Like I think that's really cool. And being able to see more of that timeline and like how did the Upside Down open up in Russia? Like that would be a very cool timeline to like learn about, because we didn't get to really get that information in this like season 3 or even season 4 as to why is there a portal that connects Russia to Hawkins.
Like why are these portals like where there has to be a reason why these portals exist, because they give it a reason in Hawkins. These portals exist in Hawkins because wherever people died, there's a portal or a water gate that happen that you have. Some water gate, because some of them in the water.
Some of them are in the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's gonna be a very interesting story, like timeline for episode 8 and episode 9. I'm very excited to be able to see who this weird collector is and why they'd want to do this, because this seems like some crazy shit.
And I'm so happy Anton is still alive, because I think he's a great addition. Again, this cast is too fucking big, but but the people that they're adding, like I can't change that they're adding these characters, right? There's no way I could if I could kill a couple of characters, I would, and then add these characters. That would be great. But like I can't do that. But they're just adding characters. But the new characters that they've added, because we're gonna get to Eddie in a little bit here, but Anton is a really, really solid character. I love his back and forth with Hopper. It's just they work off each other really well.
Yeah, they needed the overly talkative Russian who's not like silly or dumb, like nonsensical, like Yuri, but they needed someone that he could kind of relate to in a way because they're both parents.
Yeah.
And they also kind of like is we don't really understand why Anton just automatically was just like, hey, I want to help you. Like we still don't understand why Anton was just like, hey, it's an American, I'm gonna help him and try to get like other than the fact that he has money, which is apparently his kind of forefront, but at the same time, he seems like he's in it more than just money. That might just be me, but it seems like that there's something else going on with Anton where he's just like, I need to help Hopper because no one's gonna risk their lives as much as Anton has for just a random person for a chance at maybe some money. Like the Yuri entire story plot was absurd,
Yeah.
and him drugging everybody and them getting into the prison itself was crazy. But I agree. I think that actual characters between like or at least the relationship between Anton and Hopper was needed because I feel like Hopper has been dealing with a lot of over the top people. Sorry, Joyce, you're a little bit over the top sometimes. By little, I mean, girl, did you see your house in season 1? You fucking axed your front wall, but that's a whole other that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I think it really helped us build out more of Hopper's character because we didn't really know about the entirety of him mixing mustard gas, and we didn't know about the entire plot where there was people that he like made mustard gas with, which by the way he did it with just his regular like just a spoon and some hand like his hands normally, not realizing the chemical effect of what mustard gas would do to him. And then he blames himself, which I could only see this not going well if he ends up anywhere near Hawkins, because that's a whole other thing.
The thing is, like, can we even like? Is it gonna mean more if he dies again? Again in question mark? Is it gonna be
No,
because like we already thought he was dead, and they had that whole heartfelt thing at the very end.
they can't do it. They can't do this 2 seasons in a row where he almost dies.
Yeah.
Like they'll do it. They might do it next season after he finally gets his justice, which by all means, cool. But I don't think they're gonna kill him off in episode 8 or 9 because that just seems stupid. Because it's just like, okay, so now what are we gonna do? Every season he's gonna almost die.
He's back in
Like
Russia again.
he's back in Russia. Oh no, he's in like next time. Next time he's in the Philippines for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, oh
There's a
man,
portal
there's
there.
connection. The portals. But no, I think it wouldn't make any sense. I think it might make sense if Anton died because then he's just like, fuck,
Yeah.
one of my close friends that I just made is now dead. Or I don't see Murray dying, but I see maybe someone like Yuri dying and with his oh my god, I realized that I've done some bad kind of deal. Also, he's seen some shit because I don't think he signed up for a Demi Gorgon and being like muzzled in a way to stop being able
I
to
was
talk.
I was gonna say, like, we haven't talked to him yet again, have we?
We haven't talked to him yet. He just was terrified as he had like the rope in his mouth and
Yeah.
screaming because he's just like, I didn't sign up for a demigorgon, like this fucking weird shit with the head opening up.
I just wanted
And
my 40 grand.
yeah, also random side note, and I said this to Harv while we were watching it. I am so happy that with Murray's storyline, when he says, I have a black belt, the guy can actually fucking fight rather than like, oh, I got a black belt, and then it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the serious things. Him knowing Russian, him being very smart, and him actually, mind you, was he doing actual black belt things? Probably not, but was he actually fighting and able to protect himself? 100%. Like, I'm just like, you know what? Fantastic. He's not actually joking around about this. This is very much a Murray knows how to fight, and it makes sense.
That's
The
what
guy
I
was in a
mean.
fucking bunker for 10 years.
It's what I mean. Like, he's comic relief, but like comic relief that isn't bad. It's good comic relief.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Honestly,
Joyce got into comic relief here too, but I think in a bad way because she like her character just feels so out of place. Like it just doesn't.
yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Why the way she's going? It just doesn't make any sense.
She just really wanted Hopper back.
Apparently.
She lost and she like had her deadbeat like baby daddy, and then she found Bob, who was a really nice guy, which by the way, as much as I love that Bob character, still think she should have ended up with Hopper. Do not understand that storyline as to why she just didn't decide to go with Hopper at that time, but cool beans. You lost another man because he tried to defend your family, and now she almost lost Hopper, and she's like, I can't handle losing someone else. And so then she goes to Russia to save him. Mind you, that hug was really sincere. I very much like that hug. I'm like, you know what?
Sincere. Was it what do they say? Was it earned? I don't know.
I think it was earned for Hopper. That man fucking
for Hopper, yes. For her, no. Again, you don't leave your fucking 3 kids back in fucking California, where one of your kids has been kidnapped for so long, and you do this whole thing with lights, and you're hysterical the 90% of the episodes in season 1.
And then season 2, she was hysterical too.
Yeah.
And then season 3,
maybe she went to the writers and said, I don't want to be hysterical anymore.
I mean, season 3, she was kind of a badass because she dressed up like a Russian with Hopper and broke into the lab to try to close the portal.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of a badass move. And I think the reason why she was just like, they're older now. And I think her thought process was they are the farthest away from Hawkins that they can be, and then didn't think any of the other timelines were going to happen. I don't like, obviously, by the time that Elle got into the fight at the roller rink, she didn't know that was going to happen. She just didn't know. She was just like, she was on a plane to fucking Alaska.
No, she was there.
No.
Yeah, because when they got back, they had dinner that night.
Oh, yes. But then they weren't there when the cops came.
No.
They weren't there when the support came. They weren't there because the whole point was they were just like, oh God, hopefully mom's still around, because that's when the police came to take Elle. So they take Elle, and then they're like, oh God, we should try to call mom. She might not have left for Alaska yet. And then we find out that she's up in the air and she has no connection or like anything like that, which by the way, did the kids not think, like, I know it's the 80s, but you think that they maybe should have made a phone call to like Alaska, or like they know like, okay, this plane's going to this like airport long distance.
You would think like, be like, we're gonna be staying at this motel, here's the number to this motel, or something, adult things that people do.
It's a retreat.
Yeah.
It's apparently it's supposed to be a retreat for her work.
Yeah.
Why isn't there a number? That's a typical thing that parents would do. They would leave a fucking 20 for pizza on the fridge, and then they'd be like, here's the numbers for the motel. Make sure that you're near the phone at this particular time, because I'm going to call you at this time at night to make sure that all of you are in the fucking house, because that was the standard 90s, and I was not alive for the 80s, but in the 90s, that was a typical thing that your parents would do. They're just like, here's money, here's the numbers, and be at home at this particular time.
Nah, she just wants Hopper. She doesn't care about. You know what? She just wants the D. And I mean, like, do you $40,000? Like, I get it. I understand. He saved your kid multiple times, but like, it's $40,000. Is Hopper attractive? Sure. But girl, you should have had some sort of more support than leaving the 3, like, essentially, what are they supposed to be, sophomores? Leaving your 3 sophomores with your older son who has been just going into the green with his best friend in his van. Like, I agree, but at the same time, like, I'm happy that storyline, mostly because it now opens us up to the crazy the collector, who I really like. That's probably one of the driving forces, other than the other timelines, which we're about to get into. I really want to see what those collections are, because I want to see, like, they might have more information for us. Yeah. No, I'm very, very excited. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes, I guess, of like the actual, like, the best storyline of the entire show.
Okay.
Because every time they went away from this story, I got sad, because I was like, I just want more of like what is happening. Because Hawkins is the best story of this entire show.
Of course.
Right? It has the best characters. It's got the part where you're actually intrigued about what's going on, and it's just like the way they start this show this season was so damn good. The like you were talking, the homages to Nightmare on Elm Street with Jack the Ripper kind of typed it. Not Jack the Ripper. Fucking what's his name? Who's the dude that kills people?
Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger. Why did I think Jack the Ripper for some reason? Freddy Krueger. Yeah, I don't know. But like the more horror aspect of the show was exactly what I wanted from this.
Oh yes. And by the way, thank you to the brothers for introducing actual gore. Like insane, like this is not a show, like this has gone far beyond like a show that people can show their younger kids and be like, oh man, this is kind of like reminiscence of the like 80s. No, this is full blown, like this was crazy shit. And I was like, obviously it was very grotesque, but it made me excited because I'm like, okay, now we're having a little bit of higher stakes. Now we're seeing like a darker side, because with season 2 and season 3, yes, there was gore by all means, but it didn't have as much of an impact as the deaths that we saw, especially coming right out of the gate with like episode 1 with Chrissy, which is like I don't think anyone was prepared for that death.
I mean, not even Chrissy's. When we went to the lab and seeing all the kids, right? Like that's where it starts off right off the bat.
Which I know I mentioned anime earlier, but there is a specific anime called Elfen Lied, and if you've watched it, you understand what scene I'm about to discuss. The very first scene in that show is a young girl who was kept in a lab, shocker, for an ability that she had, and she wants to get out of the lab, which is kind of what we think is happening with Elle, which is her going on a rampage, because you're hearing screaming, and that's what happens in that show as well, where people are just getting murked. And mind you, we do in fact see the character go in and start using people as a shield, as essentially a gun shield. That's a whole other story plot line, but it's very reminiscent of that particular scene, which is a young girl who is locked in a laboratory and she wants to get out. And so we think this is what Elle's done, going on
that is the one thing about spree. Yeah, that's the one thing about the like. So I guess the main difference between Chrissy and that one is like we don't see the kids dying, right? We just see the aftermath of what happened. With Chrissy, we see it from front to back.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing, and we then realize why we didn't see the deaths in episode 7.
Yeah.
And it was gory as hell. I'm just like, okay, they're not here to play this season. They're here to like make you physically feel uncomfortable. And so we heard blood-curdling screams, which was the doctor. It was Dr. Brenner. We got to see his point of view of him essentially doing a crossword at home, and then him going to the lab and spending time with 10, who is a young boy, and then just the massacre happening outside, and then him finding 10 dead. Which I honestly, like, even though I don't like Dr. Brenner, I felt terrible for 10, because 10, like, a lot of these kids just at that particular point in time, before we knew other things, it was just a bunch of children who didn't do any, like, from what we saw, they didn't do anything. They just were in the lab themselves. They were, and then we see 11 and we're like, what the fuck did she do? Because the last time we saw her with bloody eyes was when she was opening portals or closing portals to the Upside Down. And so we're just like, what the fuck? So she went on a fucking crazy murder spree, which then became a story plot of them explaining that she like suppressed her memories the entire season. And so, oh my God. But yeah, the Chrissy death was insane. Like, I was not expecting the crack and twist and her eyes getting essentially imploding.
Yeah, just pretty much turning into soup from the inside.
That was crazy. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like,
and this is also where we get the Eddie character, right? This is where we get Eddie, who is the leader of the Hellfire Club, which is their D&D. They're like their upgraded D&D club. Like this, the D&D club has been upgraded from the basement to like, I don't know where they are now at this point.
They're at school.
They're at school, right? Okay.
Well, like, someone pointed it out. It's really fucked up that they had, like, for season 3, all Will wanted to do was play D&D. And they just kept on saying no. They're like, "No, we don't do that anymore. We're
Yeah,
too
we're
cool for
grown up.
D&D."
We're grown
And
ups.
then Will moves away, and then they join a D&D club. Like, what
Oh
the
man,
fuck are
Will,
you
Will is just getting fucking destroyed.
shafted?
Yeah.
Fucking shafted. Like your friends, they all like they just wanted to play like he just wanted to play D&D, but he can't even get that. What
Yeah.
the fuck is happening?
So this character is awesome. I think they nailed this character, and then putting him right in the forefront of like what's happening in Hawkins was kind of a good. I think it was a good idea because like, you know, it's cool when like our characters already know what's going on,
Yeah.
right? Our characters already know that Hawkins is kind of fucked up. But now seeing it in a different perspective and like seeing it in a way where like it connects back to D&D because like they're I think it feels like anything they do in D&D is connected so much to what is happening in Hawkins. Because they had the Mind Flayer in one of their D&D campaigns, didn't they?
They sure did. They also had the Demi Gorgon.
Yeah.
And then this season it was Vecnar, who is the necromancer. Like essentially, he's the high wizard that runs a cult, and so he controls people. And also gets into their memories and their minds, which was a very interesting take this season because there was a lot of other like even not even just like the supernatural aspect. There was a lot of things when it came to actual mental health that was very prevalent in the season, including Chrissy's bulimia, which we saw in episode 1. And then we also get to see Max having to deal with grief of losing Billy, and also just
the second dude that died, the reporter kid. I forgot his name.
Nick?
I forgot his name.
Yeah.
He had a car
Ted.
accident. Ted?
No, that's his dad. That's her dad. Sorry. I'm trying to remember. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, he had the car accident, which I think his family died. Or his sister and his dad died, or somebody. People died in the car accident.
There was a family who died.
Oh, there's a whole family that died. Okay, yeah. And
that's why they're chanting in the forest, and they're like,
I thought it was his family, but I guess it's a different family that died.
Yes, a different family.
So, yeah, seeing him going through the same thing, they're going through that kind of grief and like that kind of guilt, was a cool thing. Seeing like when we get to that episode, we still don't know what is actually happening. Like we don't know why these things are happening to like we get why they're happening to them, but like we don't know what is doing it. Like what's actually doing these kind of type things. We just see a dude walking around and stuff like that. And this is what the criticism that we had for the previous seasons is just like they talk about it way too like when the Billy stuff happened, we knew right away like what the season was gonna be. Where it was like, yeah, we know Billy's the bad guy and everybody just needs to stay. The characters don't know, but we know. But in this season, nobody knows, and we're trying to piece things together. And I love when Stranger Things does that because it kind of makes us guess every time. And then in episode 7, we finally had we both had the light bulb moment of saying like, do you think that number 1 is Vecnar? Like, do you think that the kid is number 1? And we got it at episode 7, which is when we're supposed to get it.
Yeah, it was so good. Which was just like, because I remember like I paused this show and I'm like, Harv, is one Vecnar? Like Vecnar? Like it only makes sense. And it took us I think it took us a little bit longer to correlate Victor's son to the entire premise, which then connects the entire Hawkins storyline with the Elle storyline. But yeah, also side note, his name was Fred Benson. And according to the old Google, he was actually part of a hit and run where he hit someone on the side of the road, killed them, and drove away without checking. So that's
what he did, or somebody else. He drove.
Did. Oh. Yeah, so Fred was driving, hit someone, and then got into a car accident and left the car. And that's where we saw the upside down car, which I assume a group died, and then that's he didn't turn himself in is the only explanation I'm finding for people who are listening and are like, obviously this is what happened, guys. Please just leave us a comment on what's going on, because that was a little bit also the other storyline as well, which was the other basketball um student.
Yeah, the student, yeah.
Basketball, yeah, the other guy who specifically passed away. He also was another death in the series that we just don't like. We got
We
this
don't
like
we don't see why his thing was happening, right? We see the
don't.
clock, and that's all we really see. And then
Yeah,
in the river, he dies, and with the same kind of way, right?
Yes, the clock, the tick tick clock.
Tick tick boom clock. Okay, I guess the other thing is the basketball team. We're at the basketball team now at this point.
You don't like the Russian storyline, and you think that this is somewhat the more acceptable things. Good fucking lord. You know what? I was like, okay, this is just a fucking group of teenagers. What the fuck ever. Like, cool beans. Like, yes, I understand the guy's like upset and going hard because Chrissy died. But then they had to, after the other basketball player died, they really had to bring the fucking religious aspect to it, which I understand was already kind of already a storyline in particular because of Victor, who is a completely other like subplot of the Hawkins like Scooby-Doo gang, where they go to the insane asylum, and we find out that Victor believed that his entire family was killed by a demon. So the religious aspect was already there, and the explanation, which by the way, once again, kudos for the gore of the guy explaining that he wanted to die like his family and used razor blades on his eyes. Whole other subplot. But the religious aspect, really, we had to go almost like Eastern Middle America, believing that the devil is possessing a kid which by the way, I understand that this was a very big topic in the 80s where people did believe, and even in the 70s
people that were playing TNT were part of the spawn of the devil.
Yeah, they believed that it was a religious they believed that it was like essentially an occult that believed in the devil, and so a lot of people were scared about that in the 80s in particular. And I know that was actually mentioned in episode 1 where my goodness, Mike's dad mentions it, where he's just like, oh, this should have been just called a group of dropouts. You may as well like the group of drop club. And you can see that it's not real. Obviously, it's very frowned upon in the town, but then they really like go crazy. By the way, and I said this to Harv, and I'm going to say this again. It is a young, attractive, blonde white boy who's telling a bunch of people, hey, this is going on. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's the white boy who's telling us to do this. We obviously believe the religious, handsome white boy who's telling us to do things. Because, like, if it was anybody else, I don't think anyone would have listened.
Yeah.
Like, this is just nuts.
I mean, they're not listening to the police.
They're not listening to the police, which is like, I get it. Like, there's a lot of issues with the police by all means, but like when there's people dying and yes, crazy shit's happening, like cool beans, like you may have a religious understanding and you might believe in stuff like that, but like the last thing you kind of want to do is you want to go out on a fucking manhunt looking for the devil. Like, I don't know, y'all are crazy. Y'all believe that you can go out with what were they doing? We didn't even see any weapons.
So this is another thing. All right, so every time this was happening, I don't know if anybody's watched the new Halloween movie, but every time this happened, I kept on repeating to Fia, I was like, evil dies tonight.
The only way that
Oh
this
my
would have
God,
been
it's so good.
acceptable is if they brought the best death in the entirety of the Halloween franchise, which was a girl running with a pistol in her hand, and then someone slamming the door, and so it swings up and shoots her own face. Like,
Oh my God, that was so good.
God, that's the only that was the only way that this would have made it acceptable. But hearing "Evil Dies Tonight" multiple times, I had to stop some points. I was just like, Harv, you either stop with this, or I'm gonna like turn this fucking recording like around.
But like, no, it's the same shit, right? But like, again, I don't think we're gonna see anything come out of it, because what is we have bigger fish to fry at this point. Mm-hmm. Right, we don't need to care about what's happening with the people of Hawkins. We need to care about like what is happening in Hawkins, as in like the upside down and stuff like that. So I don't think we're gonna see much of like the people of Hawkins. They'll probably like,
Mhm.
just because like they know where everybody lives. They know where each of the kids' parents are. Why aren't they busting down into the people's houses, being like,
I
"Where
don't
are your
know, because
kids?"
they're already
Why
group.
didn't they just do? Why did they just do that? Well, they saw the picture of all the kids that are part
Yeah.
of Hellfire Club, right?
Yep.
They know whose
We
kids
don't know if
those
that's
are.
gonna happen yet. That might happen in episode 8 or 9.
I thought that was just gonna
Um,
happen right away, where they're in the assembly, they're there with them right there.
well, they're looking for Billy first because obviously they believe that they're out doing occult things, and so they're not going to the houses first. They're going out to the lake where they think the occult is the only explanation that I can particularly give because that's when we saw the mob go into the woods. Which, by the way, it seems really weird that the only mob that found the kids was the police officers. Which I
Yeah.
was just like,
I mean,
why are the police with the mob?
the only people that went there, are the police and the kids, like
I
the
thought the
basketball
mob was
kids.
I thought the mob was in the woods too,
I
in
didn't
some
after they
capacity.
left the town hall. Never saw any other parents ever.
Okay, well that's gonna be fun. Because I'm just very interested to see what that mob. They're probably gonna go nuts and burn down Billy's house, which, by the way, is not Billy's house. They're gonna go down, burn down Eddie's like trailer because they're once again a mob mentality, and they're probably
They're
just
all gonna
like,
get sucked into the gate.
yeah, like why burn? By the way, that's what they get for apparently messing with the devil. I don't know what the fuck is going on with them, but yeah, that entire story, like I can't stand that storyline whatsoever. It's just a bunch of jocks who believe that they're above everybody else because they won a basketball game. Way to peak in high school, kids.
Yeah,
This is
apparently
just
that was a big thing. Like we're both from Canada. That was never like I don't know about your high school or anything. That was never a thing in my high school ever.
we had some guys in varsity jackets one year because they started doing like football, like it was a bigger thing, but like no one was ever like that. No one
Yeah.
was ever just like, I'm a part of the varsity team, or like, like it was a very weird or at least I didn't pay attention to it because I just didn't care. But like it's it's a very weird mentality. But then again, it's the US, so they have a whole other kind of like, we see this a lot in sports movies and
Yeah.
also just in media in the US where there's just like there's the football guy or there's like the varsity guy and everyone just loves them, but like this was just a far stretch beyond what I would have comprehended that they would allow these. Also, he like almost broke this kid's hand, the guy who was also in the band.
Yeah.
He like stepped on his foot. I'm like, why is no one stopping this guy? Once again, you are a group of people. I understand that he's going to graduate into like a month. Like, congratulations to him. Probably going to be like one of those guys that peaks in high school because right now with his anger issues, I don't think he's either going to go really far in life up until a specific point, or he's just going to once again peak. And it's just nuts how far they allowed that character. It was you know what? It kind of sizzled out. They just went very hard in the paint with him, and then he just disappeared
Yeah.
in the
There
middle
was
of
there
episode 7.
yeah, it was like episode 6 and 7. I don't think there was very much that happened with him.
Episode 7 is when they had the like actual town hall
Yeah.
because that's when all the parents, Dustin's parents, Lucas's parents, and Michael's parents, like Mike's parents, all went to the same house. They went to Mike's house, and that's when they were at the house and interrogating the kids, which the police officers decided to start off with Max, which, the random side note, it was hilarious when the police came out and essentially the police assistant was just like, she was actually really mean.
Yeah, we shouldn't have started with her.
Yeah, we shouldn't have started with her. I'm like, yeah, don't start off with Max. Oh my god, Max
I
is gonna look
still
for it.
am not a big fan of Lucas's sister. I'm glad that we're getting lowered out. Like we're not getting that much from her
Yeah.
this season. I'm
I
happy
saw
about
an
that.
article. People were complaining that she didn't get enough big enough part in the season. I'm like, no, they do not need. I'm like, she's a she once again a
Great
very good
actress.
comedy. She's a great actress, very good for comedy relief. Um, Lady Applejacks, fantastic D&D name, cool beans, fantastic, good on the 20 roll in D&D, but like I don't think she needed like cool, maybe in season 5 she might get something bigger when they may end up killing some characters off, but I don't think they needed a bigger character. But a character who has been like, she was bigger in other seasons, but became even bigger this season because of the trauma that she experienced in season 3, which is Mac's storyline. Freaking kills it.
She
I fucking
she is
love the
almost
entire
like
storyline.
I would probably give her an 11. like the nod of like carrying this season, because her dealing with her trauma and just like
Mhm.
going through the process of like leading up to the trauma part. I did not expect her to get hit. Like I guess I should have saw it coming, but like it was kind of like in like the back of my mind, because I thought it was gonna be the basketball player next, and then when she
Yeah.
saw the clock, I was like, oh shit, okay. That's a really really cool, because like in the trailer, when we first saw the trailer, we thought she was gonna get powers, right? Because she
Yeah.
was lifting herself where the grave was, but it's just
Mhm.
her stuck in like that where
Mm.
she's with the where she's with
In the dreamscape
yeah,
with
the dreamscape,
Vecna.
yeah.
Which, by the way, the amount of shout outs to 80s thriller movies is bonkers to me. And I was pointing this out to Harv. When they're on the pier and she's walking backwards, that's a shout out to Friday the 13th with Jason at the lake. And then there's also the Freddy Krueger stance where she's running away and you see the silhouette of him flexing his fingers. And then one of the gravestones is actually Myers for Michael Myers. At least that's what I believe, and I can only assume that's what the brothers specifically selected, because it was a very large tombstone with the name Myers on it.
Yeah.
There's no way, unless it's trying to go with like Will Byers, which would make sense. But it said, I believe it said Myers on the tombstone, which would then once again be a shout out to Michael Myers. But there's also some other like horror films that it could have been associated with. I do not remember. There's a summer camp one off the top of my head that does include a pier, so it might be associated with that one. But I believe it's probably more in the lines of like Friday the 13th because of the lake scenes that they've had in this season.
Yeah.
And so Jason, if you've ever watched Friday the 13th, you are very accustomed and aware of the lake. So it's just like, it's really cool to see those kind of shout outs, and the boat, because in Friday the 13th, the video game, you actually got to go on a boat, and that's a way that you can escape the game. Fun tips for a game that doesn't work very well. But no, they did such that entire scene of her going through her kind of trauma and then her then entering Vecna's, which I can only assume, and I agree, I think Dustin kind of hit the nail on the head, which was she entered his dreamscape, which was the almost the definition of the boiler room for my goodness, Nightmare on Elm Street, which was the Freddy's essentially his area is the boiler room. So for Vecna, it's his house.
Yeah.
And so she enters that, and then that's when we get to see Lucas finally get his shit together and remember Max's favorite song, which was a very nice kind of introduction to, like, at least like kind of a nod to him really caring about her, and her like him remembering like, oh, her favorite song is Running Up the Hill by Kate Bush, which has also another whole other like correlation, because the episode in which she does get lifted into the air because everyone floats apparently, another callback to it, is the lyrics to Running from That Hill. The title of the episode is called Dear Billy, which is her essentially saying that she wished that she actually helped him and that she could have had a better relationship. And the song lyrics indicate that like, if I could make a deal with God, I would take your place instead, which is essentially like her saying like, I wish that I would have taken your place,
Yeah.
because she feels bad for Billy. And I got really teary when I thought of that, because I'm thinking of her letter to Billy and the fact that she wished that she could have saved him, and then the lyrics to that, and just the trauma that we got to see her go through from the first episode to episode 4, which is Dear Billy. As someone who went to trauma counseling when I was in middle to high school, that is very real, and it's very much how I felt when I went. Was essentially Mac's reaction, which was like rolling your eyes and like, I bet you get it, like kind of deal. And so it was very interesting to kind of see that and be like, okay, you know what, that's a very real reaction for that. But at the same time, like taking those opportunities, mind you, I only went like twice, but then again, Max probably did the same thing, because Max didn't seem like she was going
She
to
didn't want to be
that
there.
very often, didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So it was so well done. Like, it wasn't just like pushed to the back burner, it was very much like her constantly being like, this, I accept what's going to happen to me, which was her writing the letters. and then at the end of the episode, like seeing her like remember all these like great moments and like really positive moments with her friends while she's like hearing the song play in her ears as she runs out, and then Vecna not being able to assist her, like not be able to stop her, is a really nice touch. And I think that was a really great kind of nod to all of that, and also introducing the aspect of like how music can actually affect people's different cortexes, especially with memory loss. And so that was really cool that they introduced that as kind of like a way to get out of the dreamscape.
Yeah, because
Which is
we see it with her, then we see it with Victor as well, right? When he has that thing with World War II, and then
Yeah.
he has that music playing, and then he kind of comes out of it.
Dream a Little Dream
Yeah.
by Ella Fitzgerald, which is a very, very good song.
Yeah.
Really well done. That was probably one of my favorites, like storylines. Even though it is continuous and she still has the headphones around her neck, it is a like I'm very interested to see if she does get affected again, or maybe he's not able to.
Yeah, because we don't know if they get hit once, if she gets hit once with it, like he can get back in. I'm assuming he can because the trauma's still there, right? Or unless you get over the trauma, that you can't.
Correct.
I don't know how that works.
Now I'm concerned because is Billy's grave now a portal to the Upside Down?
No, because there was no death there.
Oh,
because
only if you die.
Only if you die.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because that's where Chrissy where she died, where the basketball dude died, and
so
then
there's a portal in the middle of the highway.
Yeah, because the kid died there in the middle of the highway. So then there's got to be a portal. Just
there's a portal in the middle of the highway. Who's gonna drive into a portal? There's like what are people gonna think driving into Hawkins? Like, oh my god, there's a lava pit. Like, what is? Because
that's true, isn't it? Because it gets bigger and bigger, right?
It gets bigger and bigger. So
people are just driving into a portal.
Or
like that portal's got to be there now at this point. So people are gonna be like, why is there a big ass portal sitting in the middle of the highway?
That's probably where all the Christians are trying to when they're trying to go on a man. Because that's near their site, like that's near where Eddie lives.
Yes,
because that's where the first happening, like Chrissy being lifted up. Yeah, that is terrifying. What are they going to do with that portal? I hope they don't forget about it.
Yeah, because they haven't went back to it, right?
No,
at all.
Because they only went back to Eddie's house to try to get them out of the house going upside down, which by the way, they should have just gone into the portal on the road, because then they wouldn't have had that entire like hopping from the ceiling and flipping back into the, you know what I mean? Because when they went up into the portal, they flop back down because this is a ceiling. Okay, this is a ceiling.
You just muted yourself.
I do that. I'm trying to do this with my hands. So this is like the the portal.
if this is the portal and you're going up this way and the floor is this way, you're gonna drop up, right? You're gonna drop, yeah. But if like your portal's at the bottom, you have to jump up and then you're just gonna land outside of it.
They would have just walked into it, and then they would have just been ta-da.
Well, they couldn't have walked in. Oh, they could have walked into it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because like it's still on the ground.
That would have been a lot safer than whatever the fuck they were doing with the gymnastics. But then we were left with a very terrible scene, where Nancy is now in Vecna's dreamscape because he's using
Barb's
death.
Yeah.
Which
we didn't get any. She's still in there, right? She's still in the, because that's where the season ended.
Yes, but then she was seen normal in the trailer.
Yeah, so they saved her somehow.
But they're also probably gonna have to find music that she likes. So
yeah,
let's look forward to that. You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be the song that was playing when her and Mike did not Mike. Oh God, that's her brother.
They're not that backwards of a town.
No,
they're not in Alabama.
No. No. Oh my God. God damn it.
Talking about Steve?
Yeah, it's when her and Steve do it for the first time. So it's probably going to be that song that was playing in the background,
Okay, yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's Waiting for a Girl Like You by Foreigner. If they play that song, that's very much a very clear sign that she thinks about Steve in more ways than one, because that is the song that was playing when they did it.
Yeah,
And
this
that's when
that's gonna
also when
be very interesting seeing all of them together again, and then seeing Jonathan, Nancy, and Steve together again. Because like that's bound to happen, right?
yes,
God, seeing
that's
all
going to
the
be very
characters in
happen.
one place—that's a lot of fucking characters, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of characters. And also, did I had forgotten about something. Near the end of season 3, Robin and Steve are in the bathrooms, and Robin asks Steve, "Do you still love Nancy?" And he says yes. And I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So I think, and this is just my guess, everybody, in episode 8 and episode 9, we get a new rendition of Waiting for a Girl Like You by Foreigner, because that is Nancy's favorite
Well, it's
song.
gonna happen very fast. I think it'll happen in the first episode because
Correct. So it's going to be in episode 8,
yeah.
and they're going to play that song, and then Jonathan's fucked. If that song is playing as her favorite song, Jonathan is lost. And I'm sorry for the
You know what? I
Jonathan
don't feel
Nancy
bad,
fans.
honestly. I don't feel bad.
I I like Jonathan, but I've always seen Steve and Nancy as almost like the end game, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like once again, I'm listening to that song right now. It's a very good song. So I would not be shocked if we hear that song. So that is my guess right now, because that's also the scene that she was reliving in her head when she was getting clips back to Barbara being taken to the Upside Down,
Yeah, in
because
the pool.
her but that also might be a pain point, because that was the song that was playing as Barb was getting taken to the Upside Down while she was with Steve, because that's those two
Yeah, but
things
she
happened
didn't.
at the
But she
exact same
didn't know.
time.
But she didn't know that happened.
She didn't know until she went outside.
Yeah.
And then she found out by going through the portal in the woods when she was looking for Barb. So the only kind of like the guess that it might be a guess, but they did have those like clips back to her and Steve and then Barb at the same time, which is really fucked up. So who knows? But I think we're
I
gonna
think
get
you're right. I think you're gonna see that for sure because they have to get her out somehow, right?
they have to get her out somehow, and it's gonna have to figure out what's her favorite song, which now becomes essentially the best guessing game in the entirety of this entire series, is what's everyone's favorite song.
Yeah.
Because yeah, what are they gonna do if, let's say, the next closest thing, if he ends up like when they get back to Hawkins, a person who's very close to the Upside Down is Will. And what are they going to do? Make us listen to Should I Stay or Should I Go Again? Because I cannot handle that. That song got stuck in my head.
Yeah, but
And
like we're not gonna
so
see we never see Dustin really in kind of like I don't think
what are
he's
they going to play? Never Ending Story.
but like we never seen any trauma with him before.
No, not at all. There's no way that Dustin's going. The
Yeah.
only people that I could think of is like Elle, Hopper, because his daughter, and so he might get that like because he went through the Upside
Joyce.
Down to Russia. Joyce,
But see, Joyce's her trauma didn't lead to any death.
no, it didn't lead to any death. But then
Oh
again,
no,
we
it
don't know
did
what happened.
with Bob.
Oh, with
With
Bob,
Bob.
with Bob,
Yeah.
and then we have
But like
Eddie.
she
Obviously,
loved, but the
who,
thing is that she loves Hopper, so like I don't know if that
yeah,
would really.
she
put
like
it too.
liked, like she played it safe.
Yeah, Bob was the
Um,
safe choice.
Bob was the safe choice, and we all said it. Season 2, Bob was the safe choice. Mind you, once again, should have gone Endgame, but you know what? Obviously, I had to drag it out for 5 seasons. For the Hopper storyline, which, by the way, this guy just needs love. You know that.
Yeah.
Because at this point, this guy, he's gone through a lot. And not only did we find out that like his daughter died because of cancer, but it's very likely it was him because of mutated genetics, because of being contaminated by mustard gas.
It's
We don't know
fine.
what Murray's done. I don't.
Will's been in the Upside Down. I think this family's fine from mutations.
Yeah, I think it's just Will who's probably the most likely to be being, I guess, to float, because apparently Vecnar is also it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a nice nod to it, I guess the hand when they were in Russia, which has no correlation or connection to Vecnar, because that's what they have in in the first It movie from 2016 when the first rendition of the new It came out, and that's when he had the arm and he went like this, and it was just like boo.
I want to
You
say
know
it
what?
was like 2016.
Yeah, I want to say 2016
Yeah.
because I think that's also what the time whenever it was either 2015 or 2016. Either way, it was when everyone decided to dress up like clowns and then be fucking weird in
Yeah.
on the streets. And I told myself if I ever saw that, I was going to punch someone out, and I would not feel bad about it if I saw. That's a whole other topic. But yeah, that was a crazy storyline. Yeah.
Before we get into one of the questions, I just want to so like the whole thing with one at the end, and him being Vecnar and Victor Krill's son. Victor Krill.
Krill. You say
Victor Crumb. I just keep want to say Victor Crumb.
Crumb.
Yeah, I kept on saying Victor Crumb. Seeing that storyline unfold in that episode, and them leading up to with the insane asylum and all that kind of stuff, perfectly done. It's masterfully done.
So good.
They nailed that.
I was not expecting any of that, and that's what I wanted. And Harv and I had conversations about this before we even watched this season. I said when we were trying to rewatch season 1, I missed the mystery of season 1. I missed the shadow drop of this weird show about kids that live in this place called Hawkins, and this kind of buildup of what's happening, who is the creature, what is going on, because that was something I really loved about it. And I missed it in season 2 and season 3 because we saw right out the gate what happened to Billy. I think that happened in season 3 episode 2 was when he ended up in the old barn house and then was bringing all the people. And then season 2, obviously we knew right out the gate that Will was throwing up we're not going to talk about that, slugs.
Which never really went anywhere, did it?
It did. That became the Demi Gorgon dogs from season 2 that attacked the labs.
Oh yeah.
So that was the connection. And then season 4, we were like, okay, what the fuck are they doing? And I feel like, and I know you hate the fact that there was 4 different storylines. I think that's what built it up to that kind of shock and awe, because we had the 2 other storylines, which I think once again are going to be more they're going to be more impactful in episode 8 and episode 9. But I think the two storylines, Hawkins and the 11 storyline, really built up this what's happening, because we didn't know. This was not okay, we know instantaneously what's going on. We only knew that kids, just teenagers, not adults, just teenagers, were being traumatized by hearing this clock noise and seeing the clock other places and having these weird dark hallucinations and headaches to the point that they died, and we just had no idea. And that's what I missed about season 1, which was what the fuck is happening. And season 4, we finally get the what the fuck is happening feeling again, and that's what I missed about season 1. And then when they when pieces start coming together, because it was actually hinted in episode 4, which took me a little bit, but that's how I was able, that's what brought me back into, okay, how is all this connected, was when we learned in season 2 that Elle was told, her mom was told that Elle had died. Elle was gone, and that she was no longer living. And then we find out with the other kids as well, in some just kind of okay, if this happened to Elle, this must have happened to other people. The kids all die. We're told their parents,
they were in a coma, then they
dead.
died. Yeah,
their coma and died. And I completely glazed over the fact that Victor said my son was in a coma for a week and then he died.
Yeah,
but that was it. He survived the attack, but he was just in a coma. And so up until season, when we got into the 7th episode, I'm like, wait a second, because we put 2 and 2 together that Vecnar and 1 were the same. But then it was oh fuck, there was a kid that was in a coma, and then all these other things such as the dead dog, or the dead animals around the house and the property, and then all these other pieces, and then you're just like, shit. And I know for a fact the moment that I realized this, because I paused it, and that was right as they were opening the door to the cutscene of them going into the
house
store.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh my god, Harv, like Victor's son is Vecnar, and this is the entire connection, and we're like, oh shit, and that's the moment that because I remember it was a dark scene, and then we saw the door open.
It was the door with the rose, and when Max put the door, she was drawing the door with the rose, and they opened it. That's where I had a feeling that I think that was after. Was that before or after the Victor stuff?
Episode 5.
So that was before the Victor stuff.
That was after the Victor stuff because
that was in episode 4, right? Yeah, that was in episode 4. Victor stuff was episode 4.
Was the Victor stuff.
That's when
she was drawing.
Yeah. So that's when I kind of put 2 and 2 together to be like, okay, it has to be somebody. One, it's the house, or one, it's the son. One, it has to be right. But the thread of like one being Vector, that I think that came out a little bit later for us, right? Or was it that was in episode 7?
That was episode 7.
Yeah.
I then, like, for myself, and I obviously can't speak for you. For myself, I then realized, like, okay, wait a second. Because we knew that the house had a connection, but I didn't realize the son and the Vecnar connection until that point. Because I just thought, okay, Vecnar, like, maybe they opened a portal, maybe something crazy happened. Like, we didn't really have a clear understanding, at least for myself at that point. But there was nothing that connected all 3 story points together, which was, you could always have like 1 or 2 at least for myself, I had 2 connected, and Harv had 2 connected, but we didn't have all 3, which was Vecnar is Victor's son and also is 1.
Yeah.
Because the moment that we realized, like, wait a second, who is this person that's helping Elle? Like,
because we put the timeline into because that happened in the late 50s. And we're like, one could be born in the late 50s because he's older, right? Like he's an older person.
Yeah, because he was like 8 or 9 when he was at the house. So it was the late 50s, but then we don't really know how old he is in it was 1979 was when the massacre and Hawkins happened, because that was the timestamp that they had on the tape.
Yeah.
And so
about 20 years then. So he's about almost 30.
Yeah, he's almost 30, which, by the way, he looks he looks young, but then again, that actor who plays him has not aged in a decade. But it's very interesting to see how that goes, which is the actor's name is Jamie Campbell Bower, who was in things such as The City of Bones. He was also in Sweeney Todd. And so he's a very good singer, by the way. But it's just, overall, it's very interesting to see, like, that character. You think, like, oh, it's just like kind of like a backup character. And then where's this, like, oh, he's just the guy that works at Hawkins. Oh, he's the guy who then starts helping Elle. And then the idea of him having that weird thing in his neck, because when they were trying to escape, he's just like, I can't leave, and shows Elle this neck thing, and Elle's just like, I can do this. And I'm like, okay, it must just be a tracker. But then it was when they removed it, I'm like, oh shit. And then I was just like, Harv, no. And he opens the door and they're surrounded. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then he goes AWOL. And I'm like, fuck. And we then witnessed what was the Hawkins Lab Massacre. And now we know why they didn't show us how the kids and everyone died in the massacre, because it is the same way that Vecnar kills all of his victims, which is twisting their bones and removing their eye sockets, and then essentially keeping them in his, like, mind palace, I guess, because he said, don't worry, 11, they're still alive, they're still with us right in here, and points at his head. And I'm like,
would you see them there, right? Because you see, like, the reporter kid Fred, and you see Chrissy there, right? So yeah, it was a good reveal. Like you said, the late seasons have just been like, season 2 they tell you what the main baddie is gonna be. They didn't do that in season 1 because there was mystery. This one they did the same thing. I think episode 7 was a good way to, like, reveal all of it, and now we get to try to see how they deal with that, right? And it's really, really cool. Really, really well structured. So my question, so I got a couple of questions, and then we'll call it there. Who do you think is gonna die in the last season? Are we gonna see a Game of Thrones thing where nobody dies? Because remember in episode, I think it was like the second last episode of Game of Thrones or third last episode, where they had that big battle. And I remember talking with my friends, being like, "You watched all of it, right? You watched all of Game of Thrones, yeah."
Oh
So
yeah.
that battle of Winterfell, and we're like,
Yes.
"Who's gonna die?" Like, oh man, this person's gotta die. This person got. Nobody ended up dying in that battle.
Nobody.
So like, do you think they're gonna go that route, or they're actually gonna kill somebody off? I guess part of the main cast, because like I don't consider Argyle as like a main cast character. He's just a side character, right?
Yeah.
Anton, I feel like is still a side character as well.
Yeah.
Like like those characters, if they die, they die. They just got introduced this season, right? So like I'm talking about like mainstay characters.
So I don't want to believe the rumors. I don't want to believe what people have been talking about.
I don't want to
Because-
believe.
Because if the rumors are true and Steve fucking dies, I quit the show. I just quit. I do not want to see Steve to die. Mind you, some people believe that the reason why they've introduced Eddie as a character is because he's going to be replacing Steve as the supportive older brother type for Dustin. If they kill off Steve, once again, I quit. But there's also some other ideas, which is Will. Will may die.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because they put him a little bit on the back burner this season. And then if he does in fact have a monologue in episode 8 or 9, then there is a very high chance that he sacrifices himself because he's already been to the Upside Down. And so he might be the one who does it. I feel like Endgame, I think Elle's gonna die. I think in season 5, she's dead. She's going to die in season 5.
Oh, okay, for the last season.
For the last season,
Yeah.
because the only way that the epic battle between her and Vecnar, if that does not happen in the end of season 8, which not season 8, my god, in episode 9, yeah, I know, if it doesn't happen at the end of episode 9, where Vecnar dies, or in that case, because at this point they have to lead to a fucking massive battle of all battles.
Well, because they already said that Vecnar isn't the big bad of the Upside Down.
He's a general.
He's a general of the Upside Down.
Which would be crazy because which explains why he's able to open the portals, but we really don't know if he is the actual general or he's the big baddie that was controlling the mind flare, because we don't know what was going on there. But we also don't know who brought Vecnar back or won back from the brink of death, because obviously he was getting shot up with a bunch of burns and electricity at the end of episode 7.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to bring him back. Yeah, Peter Ballard is I think the character's name, because it's it's not Victor Ballard. I don't remember his name anyway. There's just a lot of things that are going on there. And so there's something that must go on that brings us into the last season, which obviously they've introduced the classic trope of it wasn't specifically sadness and sorrow that brings out Elle's true powers. It's the power of friendship and love. Shocker. I'm sorry. I've seen that trope too many times to the point that I think it's very cute, and I definitely got teary, but it was okay, I've seen this a lot in other stories lines, especially in things such as Danganronpa, for example. There's the different the fight against despair and hope, and so this is essentially the fight against despair and hope, or in other cases, chaos versus the light. Wonder where the fuck that one comes from, Harv.
Gotta kill chaos.
We gotta kill chaos.
And then we become chaos.
Yeah, we'll become chaos. Who knows? So no, I think Elle is going to be endgame death. But I feel as though there has to be some sort of other death, and I don't want it to be Steve. It might be Eddie.
I think yeah, but see, Eddie is not part of the main cast. I don't consider him. He is like Anton to me, where he just got introduced this season.
He's got introduced this season, but we've had deaths in the past where they hit Bob's death was sad. And I feel like the fan base is freaking loving Eddie, and I think the reason why and this is might be just me overthinking this, the reason why they want us to have that month gap is to then really fall in love with these characters, and then we're going to see some of
I
these characters die at the end of episode 8 or 9.
I see Eddie dying mainly because of that one scene where he's on the rooftop with his guitar. I think that's
Yeah.
like his sacrificing moment. I think he's gonna die. I think Eddie's gonna end up dying in this season
Which
for sure.
I'm really sad.
Yeah, but again, but the thing is, like, I'm okay with it. I am
Yeah.
like, yeah, that looks about right. I think Lucas is gonna die at the end of this season. I think he's gonna die at the end of the season because I feel like he's redeemed himself in Max's eyes in a way, but I think that she is going to tell him at the very end, like, how she like why she feels the way she feels, because we haven't had that conversation between them two yet.
No.
Where he had the conversation with her, but she hasn't had the conversation with him yet of saying how much he means to her. So I think it's gonna happen in one of the 8 or 9 episode where I think when he dies, or she's gonna have that conversation with him, and I think he's going to die at one of the episodes.
Do you know who I also think might die? And I really don't want to say this because I fucking love this character. And it's gonna make me cry like so freaking hard if this does happen. Is we think to the last moment that Steve's gonna die, and then Robin sacrifices herself for Steve, and just like protects her and Nancy, because he's her best friend. And even though she has a lot of prospects and stuff, she might do that to like save him in hopes that he might actually be able to finally get the girl, kind of thing. And she'll probably say something stupid like, you now have no choice but to get the girl, and then die.
Yeah.
Like, you know for a fact if she does die, she's going to go out. If that does happen, I'm going to be a freaking mess because I love Robin to death. But I can see it happening because I don't really like, I know this might sound silly, and you know what, I might be wrong, and by all means, but I don't think that they're going to have a season 5 without characters like Steve, like Dustin, like the main cast. So they're probably going to go back to the main cast for the final season. You know what I mean? Because like everyone, like, yeah, Max is a fantastic character and everything else, but I feel like that also will give her some sort of motivation if you're right and Lucas dies.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of have that built energy. But then again, I also feel like she's already lost so much without Billy.
True.
That it's just,
you don't want to keep reopening the wounds kind of type thing with her.
Yeah, because her finally being able to like accept her feelings or be open, and then she loses Lucas. I think that's going to be, it might just be a matter of we just lose all the side characters and we just have the main cast again, which would be weird.
Yeah.
But I could see it happening.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, what if nobody from the main cast even died? Like, nobody from the main cast. What if nobody dies at the end of the season?
Someone's gonna die. There's literally like, I'm sorry,
Oh,
this is like if no one dies, it has to be one of the off character, like one of the side characters. Then like Anton sacrificing himself. So
I think Anton's gonna sacrifice himself. I think he's
Anton's gonna sacrifice himself. So then Hopper
he's gonna say something about take care of my boy or something like that, or go see my
and
boy.
Then Hopper's gonna take his boy back to America. Congratulations, the American dream is real, kid. Like, your dad's dead, but let me just take you to America.
Yeah.
No, I think that he's gonna, like, I feel like Anton's gonna sacrifice himself. So Murray, or it might be Anton and Murray who sacrifice themselves, and then Hopper and Joyce get to leave.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's gonna, like, I don't think that'd be too much. I feel like that's too many sacrifices in one particular section. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know how the Anton storyline would continue. This
is the side effect of having too many characters. Okay. Who do you kill with these many characters? You can't kill 5 of them. How many do you kill? 1 out of the entire cast?
Yeah.
After a while, it just feels like Game of Thrones did it well with the Red Wedding because we didn't see that coming at all. When we went to when we had that dinner, when we had like that whole thing happen, we were like, all right, that's cool. They're having a dinner, and then they all just fucking died. I'm like, wait, what? What?
Yeah. I don't think they would do that.
And they can't do that with this show. They literally can't do that because one, they're just everywhere, and you can't take somebody's death and then trivialize that death with another death and then trivialize both of those deaths, and then have another death. You just can't do it unless you completely eradicate an entire storyline. Like you just Hopper, Joyce, and Murray. They just fucking die. Like all three of them just die. You just can't do that. You just can't. It just doesn't work that way in this show.
No, I like there's, and honestly, random side note, apparently Netflix needs money right now, so I don't think they're gonna kill off any of the huge main characters because they really need that money, you know what I mean? No one's gonna fucking die on the main characters because if they do that, then people are just not gonna watch next season. You really think that they're gonna give us a bunch of shirtless Steve and then just not give us that next season? Like you really
now you're just trying to justify his his non-death.
I'm just saying that Netflix, you know what you did, and unless they did that knowingly, knowing that he's going to die, which, you know what, I don't want it to happen, but like also at the same time, they really need to start implementing risk into the show, because to bring it into D&D terms, everyone's rolling too high, and someone at some point is going to roll too low, and they're going to die.
They're not going to hit
you know
the
what
check.
I mean? They're not going to hit the check. And right now, all these characters have had pretty heavy fucking dice over the past few seasons. And I know that you know what? I might apologize. It's a fucking D&D related show. They've rolled too heavy, and they're probably going to be told that they need to switch out their dice, and the first thing they're going to do is roll a 1, and then they're going to get murked, and other people around them are going to get hurt as well. So yeah, I hope it doesn't happen. But yeah, also some people think that it's Will because they've seen Instagram photos of him in a essentially what is it? Oh my god, it's something that lifts you up.
Oh, like a harness?
A harness. They've seen him in a harness. So there's two things. Either A, he's got powers now, which honestly wouldn't be shocking.
Yeah, he's spent the most time in the Upside Down.
Yes. Or they bring him back as a fucking sleeper agent, and now he's actually like
one of the tentacles of the flare kind of type thing.
Yeah, so he's either the tentacle or he's actually one of the he's honestly maybe the Bucky Barnes of the fucking Stranger Things universe, that he's a sleeper agent and then he wakes up and then he's now on the
just
side
killing
of
everybody. Mercs Argyle just fucking destroys him.
Not Argyle, he just wants to sell the pizza. 30 minutes or less.
30 minutes or less. Man. All right, one more question before we end the podcast here, before we end the spoiler cast, because we've been going on for almost 2 hours. We're almost at 2 hours.
I mean, this is still shorter than their final episode, so I think we're doing good,
Harv. You asked this question before we started. So in Stranger Things, everybody has a song that takes them out of the Upside Down or out of the dreamscape, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
What would your song be?
Oh man. Okay, so I thought about this, and I'm actually gonna go with one of my favorite songs that I first heard when I was 6 years old. Now, this is gonna be pretty weird, and people are gonna probably judge me, and by all means, judge me, people, judge me. It would be like I'm about to get killed, and then the sweet sounds of Seal's "Kiss from a Rose" starts playing.
Oh my
and
God.
Then I see the portal open. Only because I heard it when I was 6 years old, and it's been one of my favorite songs since. Mind you, I know it's cheesy, I get it, but like when I was a kid, I was just like, this is really cool. Like it was my very first time hearing it, and so it has like that kind of like memory that I remember specifically. I was in the car. My mom had just recently bought a CD, and I was sitting in the car and we were driving home, and it was snowing outside, and Kiss from a Rose started playing, and I'm like, this is a fantastic song. And I've remembered that song since I was a young child. And so that would be my how to get out, especially since it's that much of a core memory that I remember to the T when I first heard that song when I was 6 years old. And so, yeah, there's other songs too. Like if I had to go with an 80s one, I would go with like Aha's like Take on Me, because that's a banger. Let's be real. It's a really good song. But yeah, no, I think it would have to be Seal's Kiss from a Rose. You know what? By all means.
I mean, it's a good song. It's a good song.
Harv, you can't hate on that fucking song.
I can't. It's a good song.
It's a fucking fantastic song. Batman.
I would have my favorite song of all time, and I think I would pick is shocking. It's a Pink Floyd song. Shocker. It would be "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd. I think
That's a good
it is
song.
it's my favorite song. It's got lyrics that really kind of like it. It reminds me of. It reminds me a lot of like people that were in my life but that aren't. That I kind of wish
Mhm.
that people were still in my life. Like depending
For
if it's
sure.
family, friends, what it is. And yeah, I would have to go with Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here, because I can listen to that song all fucking day. I can listen to that song all day.
Yeah. You know what like I was this sounds very silly. And I've actually just put it on Spotify for myself just because this is gonna be very random. I know for a fact he's not gonna listen to this fucking spoiler cast because this guy has not watched Stranger Things. I know what Frank's song would be if he was going out. It would be fucking "Bury the Light," and it would be the chorus, and someone would play that shit, and he would be like
You'd be
running
like,
out
"Let's go, let's
because you know that
go."
that song goes hard. It
Yeah.
goes hard as hell, and he would definitely that is his 100%. Frank, watch fucking Stranger Things so you can get to this particular point because I bet I've got this down to a T. Because I was trying to go through actually before we got to the podcast. I was going through my Spotify library and I landed on "Bury the Light," and I'm like, oh, this would just be Frank's. Why would I select this for myself? So then I went and was looking through more of them. And so, yeah, for the guy who doesn't fucking watch Stranger Things, who's on our pod, if you don't know who Frank is, welcome to Point in Progress.
I mean, this might be people's first time looking at watching Point in Progress, right?
That's
Because
true. Well,
this is literally the first time we're recording something that is relevant at the particular moment because we're always so late to everything.
we are, which 100% we will have to sit down and talk about the episode 8 and 9 once it's been completed,
Yeah.
so we can actually might get more people. Who knows? It might just be the two of us again because we're currently we sat down for hours yesterday and just
This
went
whole
through all
weekend
of
we
the
watched the entire show. Yeah.
definitely good. I cried a lot. So if you have watched it, if you haven't watched it but watched this podcast, congratulations for being very confused with our conversations. But yeah, it's a fantastic series. And I'm really happy that they went this particular route for season 4 because I think this is getting people more excited. They had 3 years, they had 30 million per episode. I would hope that they went a little bit harder.
I mean, most of the episodes look really good. Like their battle with the bats and the CG and stuff like that, and like
Yeah.
the upside down looked great. It looked better than a lot. Like it looked a lot better than any Marvel show that I've seen in the last like year.
Yeah, and then also like you could see all of the tentacles and the vines moving through his body.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honestly, that's very Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It was very, very disturbing. And for context, I like horror movies. I do not like Evil Dead, and that just brought me back to 2013 trying to watch Evil Dead 2013, and I do not like that movie. Anyway, side note, but yeah, I am very excited that they have improved it significantly, and I'm happy that they took those extra years to really improve. Like, I'm not saying it needed improvement, but I feel like they really captured the excitement that we all had for season 1. Mind you, some people are now terrified of the series and think that they went a little too hard, but I think this was what
I
they
think
needed
they
to
should
do.
have. They should
That's
have.
what they needed to do.
Yeah.
They needed to go
I
the
personally
right
think
route.
they needed they needed improvement. I did like season like anything that wasn't season 1, the other seasons, they just didn't have the same they just didn't do it for me. Sure, Max, right? Max.
Yeah.
No, her brother is
Billy?
Billy. His death it didn't affect me as much as a lot of other people, but like yeah. But like the problem with that season is like we know like I had a feeling he was gonna die the entire season because you guys being controlled by a mind flare. Unless they figure out a way to kill the host that isn't like either kill like the host that's getting flayed, mind flayed.
Yeah.
Can they get that person back? We like no. That's just the kind of what they've established that you can't. So I kind of
Yeah.
had a feeling that he was gonna die anyways. But like this season brought me back to season 1, and I was like, all right, you guys are keeping the mystery on the like right in front of us, but you guys aren't telling us what it is. You guys are going more in the horror route. You guys like this is like cause like the first 3 episodes was like straight up horror movie kind of shit, and I fucking loved it. That's what the show needs to be.
Yeah.
It's what the show needs to have. So I'm glad they went that route. And this gets me like, as much as I shit on some of the storylines of this show, I'm excited for 8 and 9. I'm very, very excited to see how this season ends. I'm very excited to see where the stories go. And like this season was really, really good television, even though they all could have been fucking movies at this point. But I still stand where they should just release the whole fucking thing. I don't know why this is the thing, but you can't change that now. But I'm excited for episode 8 and 9. I'm very, very excited for the ending of the season.
I agree 100%. I'm very excited. July 1st, I have no plans other than to watch a show, so I'm very excited to sit down for 4 hours of Snyder cut length television. No,
get the popcorn and we'll get it ready. Let's go.
Oh, believe me, I am ordering food. I'm getting popcorn. I am making sure that I'm putting the AC in this freaking room, because if you've been watching this entire podcast, man, it is warm in here. It is definitely the upside down for sure. It's just kind of nuts, but no, I'm really actually excited to watch the rest of the season, and I can't wait until next year, which I think is when they're releasing season 5. Hopefully, if they have to take another year, honestly, like the kids are gonna be like in their 20s.
And they have an expiration date now at this point for the next season.
Poor the guy who plays Will, Noah, he really just doesn't want the bowl cut anymore. And they're just like, you have to keep the bowl cut. And I'm like, God damn it. This guy,
if he does die, he's gonna be like, thank God.
He's just gonna be like, just when I die, get rid of the bowl cut. Just take it away. And like, God. And I hope that they're not just like, let's see if he's alive and cut him open like they did in season 1. Just like,
oh yeah, with the
is he like made from Build-A-Bear? Who knows?
All right. Well, we record 2 hours right on the dot, pretty much. So, thank you guys so much for listening to the Spoilercast. For Point in Progress. This is our like 3rd or 4th one, but Fee and I have been talking about doing this for a while. So we wanted to start from season 1 and stuff, but timing and stuff like that just didn't work out. So we just finished it this weekend, and we just recorded this right afterwards, pretty much. We just finished yesterday, I think.
Yeah, we finished it yesterday. We recorded it today, and this is probably going to be good. Since MCU doesn't come out this week, we'll probably be releasing it on Wednesday. Because MCU's not this week, so Stranger Things week.
Guys, you can find us at Point in Progress, youtube.com/Point in Progress if you want to watch the podcast over there. This video as well. You can listen to it all. You can listen to it on all the podcast services over on iTunes, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. For the video version, I'm gonna put little cut-ins of like little things, like little seeds, like when Fee was talking about like the pier, I'm gonna put like the still there for the pier and stuff like that. So the video version is gonna have a little bit more to it.
Wow.
Am I gonna put the audio of Evil Dies Tonight? Probably not, but I'll have a still of it though. I'll have a still from the Halloween movie.
Only if you put a quick gif of just the girl running and then getting smacked by the car and
shooting herself in the.
You need to have that in some capacity. And just, you know what, if you can, just obviously to kind of avoid us getting like in trouble, just changing the blood to just confetti.
I mean, that would be great. I would have to get that to you, because I don't know how to change confetti from blood. I don't know how that works. But guys, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll talk to you guys next time, I guess.
Bye.
Yeah.